Big welcome everyone. Welcome to our demonstration class, our free live class. Anyone that's watching, we would love if you comment underneath. Let us know where you're watching in from, and typical Irish, we want to know what's the weather like around the world. You might be thinking, God, is Janette going on the piss today? So today I'm going to demonstrate an arrangement that can be used for a celebration. So what I have here is a bottle of bubbles. Somebody must have gave it to me as a present, and I probably am going to drink this tonight, okay? So we'll open our box here. There we go, and there is our lovely bottle of bubbles. So we'll just throw that out of the way. So this can be used as a table centre, or again an idea of giving somebody like a gift or a present. And especially if it's a celebration, whether it be a new baby, an anniversary, a birthday, to be honest, any occasion. Happy Wednesday as I do call it. So get your knife, cut your block of floral foam in half. That's all I need, is a half a block of floral foam. And what I'm now going to do is cut off the corners. So I'm going to cut the corners off the foam. I might just actually cut another tiny little bit off them. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is take a good chunk around, as if I was peeling a potato or peeling an apple, okay? Peel that around there. And then I'm going to turn the foam upside down, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to trim that good corner of the floral foam off all the way around. And then I have a magic bin here beside me. We'll throw that in there and just get a little piece of kitchen towel just to have it ready. Now I'm just going to move the turntable over to one side for the next stage. Now them turntables, you'll get them in IKEA. I'm sure if Selena's watching, she'll put the link up for you. They're very inexpensive. I think they're around 10, 11, 12 euros, not that expensive. So next stage, get your block of Oasis, place it on the table, get your bottle of bubbles, don't shake it, okay? And then insert it down into the foam. Now don't go all the way, you know what I mean? Go about 2/3, 3/4, so don't actually tip the table. But do it really slow and really slow and carefully, because obviously you're going to be pushing a lot of water out of the foam, as you can see there on the table. So then support the floral foam, lift it up and stand it up the right way. So what I'm now going to do is just dry the table again. Now you might kind of say, God, is that going to keep dripping? No, when I stick the bottle into the floral foam, it's like sitting on a sponge in the bath, like, okay? The weight of your bum is going to push all the water out of the sponge, and that's exactly what has happened there. But like, once I stick the flowers in, they will start drinking the water out of the floral foam, and yet there will be still plenty of water there to keep the flowers hydrated. So I'm going to use a selection of pink flowers here today. There's no pattern, there's no system. You can use any flowers at all that you want. And again, for anybody that's watching that's a complete beginner, this is an ideal arrangement for yourselves. So what I have here is a couple of really nice pink roses, okay? So we're just going to cut a rose, cut on an angle, remove any leaf, and then just insert it into the floral foam. Cut your rose on an angle and insert it into the floral foam. And I don't want you to think about it, I don't want you to overthink it, I don't want you to say, will I cut it smaller, will I cut it larger, will I stick it in here, will I stick it in there? You can basically do whatever you want. Can you see how easy this is? Just cutting your flowers, and you can see sometimes I'm sticking it upwards into the floral foam, other times I'm going into the front, I'm going in on a slant, other times I'm going out to the side. I'm not thinking about it. That's what's really, really important, okay? I find an awful lot of times when people are doing flower arranging is they're overthinking, and they're kind of going, will I go here, will I go there, or what length will I cut the flowers? Now I know if any of my students are watching, they're saying, oh God, she's not as casual with us when we're doing our flower arrangements. But no, this is more of a hobby design. It's not really a retail arrangement, it's not really a commercial arrangement. But in saying that, like, it can be sold in a flower shop. But you listen, you're all going to make these yourself. Everybody be running down to Tesco's now, or Lidl or Aldi, to get their bottles of Prosecco or champagne. So I'm starting off now with a couple of the Germanies again. So just randomly sticking them in. And a couple of this kind of dark coloured one, which I think is really, really nice. So because I've only got 3 or 4 of them, I just kind of like divide them. Now I know some people might be saying, oh God, I thought you never used 4. This is all about hobby and fun flower arranging. So you can do whatever you want. Numbers don't matter, heights don't matter, techniques don't matter. It's all about fun, okay, this arrangement. So again, you can see sometimes I'm kind of going upwards into the floral foam, sometimes I'm going sideways into the floral foam, sometimes I'm going in on top. And again, you can see the turntable is really, really handy. We have a white petal in there, in among the pink ones. I thought it was a damaged one, but it's actually just a different colour one. So again, just keep sticking them in. Isn't this really easy, really simple? And again, anybody that has children, the children could help you make these, and you'd have absolutely great fun. Now I still have more Germanies, I still have more roses. I have a magic bin on the floor here, and all the stuff is going in. Next flower I'm going to use is a couple of our lisianthus. Now I absolutely adore, they're probably going to fall, it doesn't matter. I absolutely adore our lisianthus. What I love about them is what you see is what you get, okay? You're not waiting on flowers to open. When you purchase them, the flowers will be open already. And I absolutely adore the little buds. You see that's at the top of them there, right? And they're probably never, ever, ever going to open. But the thing is, the public always think they are going to open. So we stick them in, that's like a little florist trick, you know that way. We stick them in and we let them believe, you know, that they're going to open. And hopefully they won't drink the champagne. They leave it for us when we go to visit them. And as I said, them tiny little green ones won't open. Now the majority of flowers, yes, when you have buds, they do open. It's just with them lisianthus, the little tiny ones, they normally don't. Another bud that I find doesn't open so well would be a carnation bud that's not showing colour. What I'm just doing here is just randomly cutting the flowers. You can see I'm not measuring them, just randomly kind of cutting them like different lengths. It'll just speed me up. But carnation buds that are not showing any colour, you'll normally find that they won't open either. So I lay these down here beside me, and now I'm going to do something similar. So again, just randomly sticking them in. Some of them are sticking out past the Germany and the roses. Some of them are going upwards into the kind of like ball effect that I put in. I suppose some people might call this kind of like a topiary tree effect. And again, I've shorter flowers that I'm recessing kind of down into the arrangement. And I have longer flowers that you can see I'm allowing them to bounce over the flower arrangement. I'm not thinking about it. That's the great thing about this flower arrangement. You can do absolutely, I'm going to cut this one shorter, you can do whatever you want, you know that way. If you never made a flower arrangement in your life, you would be able to make this arrangement. And again, anybody that's watching there and has any questions at all, put your questions in the comments. And as soon as this video is over, I will go back and I'll respond to everybody. Now, a lot of people do ask us about the treatment and the conditioning of flowers. Now, I've actually got in and I've actually made a program. And at the moment, I have over 70 different varieties of flowers and foliage in the program. And it's all step-by-step conditioning. It's a video. Step-by-step conditioning and treatment of 70 varieties of flowers and foliage, and it's available completely free. You can either go to our website, which is www.caseflowerschool.com, look for the blog button, click on it, and it's about 5 or 6 blogs down. You'll find the treatment and conditioning program. Click on it and you can download it for free, and you have free access to it. Or if you can't find it, drop me an email here to the school, info@caseflowerschool.com, and we'll send you out the link. And again, it'll be added to your, what we call your dashboard, you know, be added to your dashboard, and you can access it at any time. If anybody has any questions about courses that we do here at the school, again, you can drop us an email. You can go to our website, all the information is on the website. Or again, if you want to give us a ring, our number here at the school is 01 for Dublin 4538649. And for anybody that's ringing from outside of Ireland, maybe ringing from the UK, just removing the guard petals off the outside of these roses. If you ring 00353 and then number 1 4538649, and again, we'll if you leave a message, we'll respond, we'll ring you back. Or as I said, one of the tutors will be here to take your call. Try not and ring when I'm doing the live class, because obviously I can't answer the phone at the moment. But as I said, send me a text, you can send me a WhatsApp, and I'll get back in touch with you. So I'm not kind of like sticking to a specific number, in case anybody is watching there and saying, oh my God, how many flowers did she use? I am using quite a lot of flowers. I've no limit, because what I'm doing is I'm kind of doing that, well, I'm going to call it American trend, but they are doing it all over the world. The American trend of not using any foliage, okay? Keeping it all flowers. Now this is September flower, and it obviously does have a foliage on it, okay? And what I'm going to do is kind of cut in between the stems. See, I'm kind of cutting down kind of through the center of it. So instead of cutting off all the individual flowers, it's kind of cut down this way here into little chunky pieces, okay? And the bit of foliage then that's actually attached to the flower is then going to be incorporated into the arrangement. And that's what's going to be my filler. But anybody that's watching there and saying, God, I'd like to do that a little bit less expensive, like use maybe less flowers, what I'd recommend you to do is go out to your garden and cut some garden foliage. Eucalyptus, pittosporum, little bits of hebe. To be honest, even if you had foliage that had a flower on it, might be something I might do. Maybe if the ceanothus was in flower, the choicea was in flower, the escallonia was in flower, hebe was in flower, they would all be fantastic foliages to use. Certain times of the year, your red robin will be in flower, and you could make this display in just foliage, but foliage that had a flower on it. But again, to go back to making it less expensive, there's a couple of long ones here, so maybe to cut them individually. But to make the arrangement less expensive is if you green it up first using all foliage and then start inserting the flowers. So these are just single little pieces of September flower. I'm cleaning off the foliage at the end before it actually inserts into the floral foam. And you can see the way I'm sticking it up into the arrangement. I'm sticking it out sideways. I'm coming in at the front, you know, that way, keeping it kind of wild and untidy. That's kind of the design. What happens to be, or what's on trend this year, I suppose, is that real wild garden effect, whimsical sort of look kind of like soft, kind of like pastel colours. And people like the arrangements to look kind of like more thrown together rather than very formal. Now here at the school we cover all types of designs. We cover contemporary styles, continental as they call it, European flower arranging, modern flower arranging, so we cover all that sort of style. We cover the traditional, whether it be your traditional posy, your traditional basket, your horseshoe, your vertical, your diagonals, all your geometrical shapes. We cover all them.
I suppose, Janette, we don't follow trends when we're in our professional courses because we're teaching the fundamentals.
You see, our courses are like geared towards retail floristry, or as we call it, commercial floristry or professional floristry. It's for people who want to get a job at it and people who want to work in a flower shop. This probably wouldn't be, this design here, wouldn't be a typical retail arrangement that would be selling in a flower shop. Now, I'm not saying you wouldn't sell it, you know that way, but it wouldn't be your typical design. This would be more what I would call kind of like hobby fun flower arranging, and it's suitable again, like a lot of our followers that follow us, like on our social media pages, that are just looking for a fun arrangement to do themselves. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't sell it in a flower shop. If somebody offered me enough money, absolutely I would do it for them. Remember, if you're working in retail, you can't actually sell alcohol unless you actually have the license. So to get around that, you can just tell the customer, go over and buy your bottle of alcohol yourself, bring it over to me, and I will make the flower arrangement on it. And then that way you're actually not selling alcohol, and basically it's a way of getting around the law, if you want to call it. But at the school, like, we cover, as Deirdre says, we don't stick to trends, okay? Obviously, as trends come into fashion, we teach that as a, you know, a separate kind of entity, a separate design as part of our training. But the course itself is geared for all year round training. So to give you an idea, over the last 37 years, like our school has always trained our students in on what's called the shower, or the teardrop, or the cascading wedding bouquet. Now back, you know, I mean, in the 80s, 70s, again, really, really popular. And then like in the last, you know, 10, 12, 15 years, nobody wanted it. It wasn't on trend, it was old fashioned, nobody wanted. The last, what, 3-4 years, lo and behold, everybody's looking for the wired, or the teardrop, or the cascading, or the shower wedding bouquet. And the thing is, there's lots of florists, hundreds and thousands of florists out there who have been trained in flower shops, okay, but because they didn't do a retail commercial course, that wouldn't have been covered because it wasn't on trend. And that's the thing about sticking to trends, you know, that way trends come in and out of fashion, and at the end of the day you have to be capable of doing everything. And I always feel if you learn what we call like your basic fundamentals of flower arranging, you can turn your hand to anything. I'm always saying this to our students at the school. You know, when a hairdresser go to hairdressing school or in their business and they learn all the different styles. Now, I'm not a hairdresser, so I don't know anything about it, but they learn all their different styles. And I'm going to use Posh Spice as an example, or do you remember Jennifer Aniston? And they then suddenly had a new hairstyle that was right on trend. And every young one in the world was looking for that particular hairstyle. Do you think that all the hairdressers in the world went back to college to learn that style? No, they didn't. They went back to the basics and fundamentals that they were taught. Now again, I'm not a hairdresser, but I presume they were taught how to do a bob, how to do a layered effect, how to do a fringe or whatever it might be, add in extensions. That would be something that would be on trend at the moment. So they would have been taught the basics and fundamentals, and they go back to their basics. And they're able to work out exactly by looking at the model, looking at the Posh Spice on the television, on the programme, whatever. They can work out exactly how that style is cut, and then they're able to offer it to their customers. Well, florists are exactly the same. If you learn your basic fundamentals and going back to what we call our geometrical shapes, no matter what is on trend, what's out there, you will be able to copy. And again, with all our students here at the school, like we offer like backup support. We're always saying to the students, once a student of K's, always a student of K's. So again, if they never ever need any help or advice on a particular style, they can always drop us an email. Most of our students are in what we call a bloom room, or all our graduate students, they would be the florists, the qualified ones. They then graduate into what we call our bloom studio. And this is where we basically mentor them forever, and it costs them absolutely nothing. What do you think so far, Deirdre?
It's lovely, actually, yeah.
There we go. I think there's probably plenty of flowers in that. So there we go, turn it around the right angle for you. The great thing about that arrangement is it can be lifted off easy enough. It could be just put sitting on a side plate, you know.
It could be made on an empty bottle. Like, I'm sure people have plenty of empty bottles of wine.
Absolutely, that's going to be an empty bottle tonight, Deirdre. So I'll show you tomorrow what this arrangement looks like on an empty bottle. But yeah, as Deirdre said, it could be an empty bottle. If you brought the bottle all the way through the floral foam, you could actually stick a candle in the other side. So there's another little tip for you. You could fill the bottle up with water, and that would give it a little bit of weight, okay? But there was something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, so if you're at a party and you wanted to then, you know, drink out of this bottle, you could just lift off the arrangement, put it on a side plate, and it would just look like a kind of a small topiary tree sitting on a plate. Again, there's plenty of water in there. Everybody's worried about it dripping. I often see people say cover it in cling film. You could cover it in cling film, but there's absolutely no need, you know, that way. And you will find with the cling film, things like September flower that have a very soft stem, you'll struggle to get it in, or jip, you would struggle to get it in. Again, anyone has any questions, comment underneath. If you're interested in attending a course here at K's Flower School, or you have any questions at all you have to do, drop me an email, info@ksflowerschool.com. Thanks for watching.